I think this thing has turned on. What is happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic start to your week on this gorgeous Tuesday. Could have used some of this weather about, I don't know, a little over a week ago. Would have been really nice at the truck rental. Anyway, enough about that. Hey, I wanted to talk to you guys about something, and I want to get y'all's opinion on something. And that something is cutting vehicle weight for a quote-unquote record ET. More or less gutting your car. What else can you do to get that car down, to get that quote-unquote record ET? And at what point is it just a little bit over the top? Let me make sure this thing's not all boogered up here. All right. So here's the thing. I was at Legion of Demons. Hang on a sec. We got a little bit of a glare going on here. What is the deal here? We got some action happening. Hold up. That's close enough. Most of y'all are just listening to this anyway. So look, here's the thing. I was at Legion of Demons, and this is something that comes up quite a bit. Something that I do happen to see quite a bit while I'm out and about at the drag strip is the guys that are gutting their cars to try to get a record ET out of their car or to try to set some record. It's been interesting to me, the depths and just the creativity that's gone into some of these things. So, Real Production saying, remove every seat in the trunk, replace the driver's seat with a plastic chair. You're not that far off. I'll tell you something. So here's the thing. One of the demons that was vying for this record, the Legion of Demons, if you're not in the know, Legion of Demons is a thing that is put on every year for the demon owners to try to best or at least meet that 9.65 elapsed time that Leah Pritchett set in the pre-production demon. And that was how the car was marketed. That's how the car was brought to the public, was that it was a 9.65 car. Well, we all know how that worked out. So at any rate, for the last couple of years, this Legion of Demons promotion or show or track rental has gone on, and it gets all the demon owners together, and they're all vying for this record. Well, the first year they did it, Ray basically set the bar at about a 978 with his demon, but that was more or less with a full interior. It had the door panels, didn't have a passenger seat in the car, but the demon was offered with no passenger seat. So basic consensus is they'll let it slide. Rear seat delete, whatever, they come with that if you want it. Anyway, long story short, no interiors. We're talking door cards are taken off the cars, every panel out of the car, speakers, all speakers removed, door speakers, window motors or whatever was all missing. Basically, it was a shell, and of course 6 seats or whatever. So I got to thinking about it. At what point is it really not that car anymore? Because I tell you what, if I were to go to a dealership and say, I want to buy that car, and it didn't have the panels or the carpet or the whatever in that thing, it had basically a plastic lawn chair in there, to service as a seat, I would probably be pretty quick to tell the dealer to go shag himself. So what the hell would ever justify saying, oh yeah, well that's how the car came from the factory, but we went ahead and gutted it even farther to try to get that record? And to me, I thought that was hysterical, and I really thought that there were only a few people that were really going about it the right way and stretching the rules even in the process, or at least what I would consider fair play. Even stretching that a little bit, which is to be expected, but some of the stuff that I saw was just absolutely ridiculous. So I guess my question to you guys is, what's acceptable? I mean, what really is acceptable? And let me ask you this. Okay, so let me say that I'm going for the Hellcat record, and you guys know what I've done to my car. It's got a 309 gear, which has never been offered on a Hellcat, but it is a Mopar part, right? So it's got a 309 gear. It's got the red eye rear seat delete, again, Mopar part. It's got a red eye drive shaft, multiple Mopars, thank you, sir. Obviously a Mopar part, but that's it. It's got a optimized transmission shift points, a la Red Eye, and a little bit of extra fuel added to it, just to keep it safe on 93 octane gasoline. It's gone 1020s, but I can still pick somebody up and take them for a ride in the car. My wife and I want to go to lunch. We pile in the car and go, because I've never taken my passenger seat out. It's kind of a thing that I have. So yeah, my cars run 1020s literally the way that I drive it around everywhere, without the trunk tray and without the rear speakers, because, well, that's where I put my fuel, and I like having the extra room, but that's it. The car goes 1020s, but it's at least still a car. Some of these things you couldn't really say are still a car other than in appearance. So let me ask you this. If I take off the hood and the fenders, because see, I can do that on this car. I can take off the front fascia, the rear fascia. At that point, the rear bumper support could go, sway bars can go, because, I mean, people are doing that anyway. Is it still the same car? At what point is it no longer a car, or at least the car that you bought? I'm curious. Again, I'd love to get y'all's feedback and see where you guys really are, because at some point you would look at it and it just doesn't pass the eyeball test, right? It's a little bit cringy at that point, isn't it? So does it have to have a hood? I don't know. Nobody's saying that you have to. Does it have to have anything? Basically, a windshield, where does it all stop and start? So anyway, I'll let y'all ponder that. I'm going to say what's up to everybody real quick. Let's see. Jared's checking in saying, what up, bro? What up, Jared? Real Product saying, that's such a stretch. If you can't bump a car with some music and sit comfortably, that's not what the actual car can do. I agree with that. Dean Hunter saying, what up, B. Mason? What up, Dean? Blackbird's checking in saying, on stock power, it's very hard to really improve ETs unless there's a lot of weight taken out. Isn't it like 100 pounds, or isn't 100 pounds worth about a tenth? That's typically true, but, and this is a big but here, with the weight of these cars and the amount of power that they're making, 100 pounds might get you, I don't know, 700s. It probably won't get you a full tenth, but it'll get you close to it. But yeah, you're right on the money with that. You're on the right track. Symphonic saying, I always thought gutting a car was trying too hard, but that's just me. Well, I don't know. I'm having a kind of a conflict of conscience here. Riffs checking in saying, what's up, y'all? What's up, Rip? ET saying, hey, Brian. Hey, Rip. Hey, ET. Slash is saying was going to purchase aluminum bumper supports for $270. May shave 20 pounds for the front alone. What about spending over $400 for a lighter battery? It's expensive to buy lighter stuff. Look, man, it's funny how expensive not having stuff on your car is, isn't it? But things like a battery. So let's talk about that. Battery's a consumable thing. You don't have to go back with a factory battery. A battery is just a battery, so you could go with which battery fits in there and works and serves a purpose. If it happens to be lighter, then just as good. And I'm a little bit on that same bandwagon and if you like ET Street R's, like what I run, as long as it's the stock size, what's the difference? A lot of folks will say that NT05R is a little bit, I don't know, it's a bit of a contrived tire, and that maybe, going with a proper drag tire would be a better and safer alternative. Makes perfectly good sense to me, and I would even ride that train with you. For me to say you can't run a set of tires, which again is a consumable item, is akin to me saying you can't run a different brand of windshield wiper blade. You know what I mean? It's still, yeah, it means something, but it doesn't mean everything. And again, for me, I'm looking at it more from a safety standpoint. I want to go with something that I know and that's going to be predictable. That's why I'm running these tires instead of an NT05. There's a reason why people buy these tires and run them, because they work. But that doesn't mean that it's a necessarily better tire. What it means is you're running a tire that's more forgiving based on track prep conditions, because every track's a little bit different. And if you don't have fantastic prep, those NT05s aren't going to be doing you any favors. So again, kind of back to square one. But you can kind of see my logic there, hopefully. Let me check back in with everybody real quick, and I'll get back to yammering on here. Jamil saying, hey, B Mason, I have a C7 Stingray right now. I was wondering if I do 85 2-inch long tube headers and an MSD manifold, what would the gains be? Makes around 400 wheel stock. Man, look, call Texas Speed, get you a cam in that thing. I wouldn't worry about doing E85 on a naturally aspirated car unless you're looking to throw a cam in it, really start turning up the wick on that thing. Blackbird saying it's pretty stupid to pay $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 and then gutting a newer car. Why not just get an older, lighter car if it's going to be a race car? That's a point that I'm going to be getting to here in a minute. Well, let's go ahead and talk about that. So the funny thing about this is that on average, with a different set of wheels and tires and with all of the weight savings attempts or efforts, I should say, that had gone into some of these cars, I think the average drop was somewhere around 100 to 150 pounds. So when we're talking about that, 150 pounds, and we're talking about a drop of about 1.5 on some of these cars, going from 75-ish, give or take, for a really fast example, down to 50. But again, we got to talk about where some of that weight is coming from. Wheels and tires, losing 60 pounds all the way around of rotating mass. That is going to help you pick up a little bit of ET. Every little bit helps. But the funny thing is, ain't like you're dropping 10% out of this car. To drop 10% out of this thing means you've got to somewhere lose 420 pounds. Shitload of weight, man. So anyway, it's, I guess, doable, but you're not going to have much of a car left afterwards. So realistically, dropping at least a couple of 100 pounds is the goal, I think. But when your goal is to drop 200 pounds, and when you look at the car, and again, we're talking about the eyeball test. We're not talking about the race car guy or gal. Okay, let's say you were talking about somebody and she is just into racing and she knows what she is looking at. She sees a car, she sees the effort that went into it to lose weight, and she appreciates the number that it runs. That's great. But for 99.99999% of the population, they're going to look at it and go, oh, damn, they must have bought a wrecked car and hot rodded it to make it a dragster. Yeah, look, I'll tell you this much. If you pull up to the club, you ain't taking a bitch home in that car, all right? There ain't no seat for her to sit in. How about that test? Can we at least go to that test? Yeah, that 10 at 2 ain't going to ever get a chance to be a 2 at 10 if you got to try to stuff her in the trunk. And even then it wouldn't matter because it's all wide open. Basically, you've converted your car into a notch-back station wagon. It doesn't make any sense, but that's where just the different mentality to this end is what I'm trying to decipher, man. I want to understand. This is a quest for knowledge here, man. I got to gain that because I got to get into the right mindset when I see somebody's car that says that they're going for a record, but there ain't nothing really left of the car to talk about. And I'm sitting there looking at it like, damn, son, you just went and tore all that stuff out of the car and didn't take off the hood? You didn't take off the fenders? They're not carbon fiber fenders? It's not carbon fiber bumper supports? Man, you're slacking, bruh. What the hell, man? Half-stepping your way in to try to get a record. That's the thing, though. Is it still that car if instead of just removing it and had like the Hellcat cart, or in this case, the Demon cart going down the road, would it still be that car if it had all aftermarket fenders and hoods and the roof thing and trunk lids and all this other stuff? How much of that car is still that car? Let's see. Robbie's saying, my brother Hellcat looking good. Thank you very much. Like it hang loose. Joe T saying, I think taking out passenger back seats or just race seats, lighter weight wheels, and maybe an empty trunk is the farthest I would go if I was record hunting. Panels that hood is too far in my opinion. Yeah, and that's the thing. I guess really to that point, there has to be an understood set of rules coming into this. Because let me tell you something, you will alienate a major portion of your compadres, racing contemporaries, fellow competitors. In other words, people that help to put those types of events on. you're going to lose a lot of those people, because if they don't even have a shot, if they don't have let me put it to you a different way. If they don't have an honest shot of at least being able to compete, they're not even going to show up. So by allowing that and taking the spirit of competition out of the competition, you've taken the spirit out of the competitor to even want to compete. And if you're asking me, I'm not going to gut my car just to go out and try to satisfy some number, some record that nobody's going to ever care about, save for maybe half a dozen people. That's it. You know, it was funny. I've been asked before if 1024s is a record out of my car. I have no idea what a record is for what micro record I would actually hold. 309 gear, stock timing, not really tuned, but kind of tuned. No catch can on a drag pack Hellcat on 93 octane. Went 1024. Cheers to me. I mean, again, I don't see a whole bunch of people lining up to take that challenge, but why would they? I mean, the car runs what it runs. My thing is just take it out there and have a good time with it. But the deeper that people start going with these records, or at least the deeper that these record holders have gone to try to secure that record, the farther away from reality that it really and truly is. And look, I get it. I guess this is the game that we're playing. I don't know. Maybe there needs to be another class, like an as delivered, stock boost, untuned, whatever class. And even then, people are going to try to cheat on that class too. Oh yeah, no, it's not tuned. It's not. And oh yeah, it's stock. It doesn't have any modifications. Look, all the door panels are in. Okay, we'll turn the radio on. Does music come out of the doors, where the speakers were? Ripping jute out, ripping all of the sound deadening out, all of that stuff. I'll put it to you like this. Somebody would have had to sit back. This is no joke. It would have probably taken the course of a long weekend to prep some of these cars to get them ready to try to run a quote unquote record that nobody has legitimately beat. Here's my thing. As far as the Demon goes, I won't give a rat's ass about the Demon until somebody runs a legit 965 on stock wheels with whatever tires you want to put on them, but stock wheels and an unmolested interior. Now, if you've got the passenger seat pulled out, don't care. If it's a rear seat delete car, fine. If it's not a rear seat delete car and you pull the rear seat, whatever. But what I'm saying is, make it about as close to a one seat as you can, but going with lighter weight brakes, lighter weight wheels, lighter weight or removing of whatever to get a lighter weight, that's not ever going to impress me. I want to see a car do it from the factory or as delivered from the factory. If it's not that, it's not a record holder. It's not stock. I can't say that my car is stock. And it's more stock than some of the stock shit that I saw this past weekend. Now, congrats to everybody that did compete, though. I want to say that not first and foremost, but at finalies, I want to say congrats to everybody that was competing. Looks like everybody was having a good time. The spirit of competition was certainly alive and well, as well as some interesting conversations about particular mad scientist fuel mixes that I thought was freaking hysterical. Just because I happen to have tested some of these fuel mixes in the past and they don't fucking work. There's so much placebo effect. I can't. Anyway, I'm glad you guys had a great time. I was there to help out a couple of friends of mine that own Demons, and the stock class, the modified class, something completely different. If you're running in a modified class, it don't matter, man. Put some Longhorns on the hood of that thing, dude. Put tank tracks on it. Nobody cares. It's modified class. Modify the piss out of it. But if you're trying to run in a stock class, come on, man. Don't try to get cheeky with loopholes and shit like that. And then don't try to walk around and take yourself so goddamn seriously. Oh my God. More cat's ass Cat's ass mouse running around there too. Well, you've got to run in this order, and I've got to run. Oh, I'm so glad I've got a Hellcat, not a demon. All right, so getting back to it. Slash is saying, I think slowly buying lighter stuff over time is fine as far as taking out the seats or taking the seats out. That's fine too for track day and just put them back in for the family. Yeah, maybe. Like I say, if everybody's gonna do it, then everybody's got to agree to a certain set of rules and standards. There's got to be a set of standards to go along with the rules, or else you open up too many loopholes. Dr. Div saying rotational weight makes a huge difference. I know it every time I put the drive pack on. Absolutely it does. Robbie's saying, my brother Hellcat is looking good. Oh, I thank you very much. Appreciate that. I think I might have said that already, but I didn't catch it. Mahalo. Jared saying, understand about shaving some weight for the track day because my box and subs alone were 225 pounds. My amp was 30 pounds and wires about 15 pounds, but it all goes back in eventually because it's a daily. Right on. Yeah, I would take that out anyway for a safety standpoint. Rip is saying, I have been thinking about getting an old Fox body and making it into a quarter-mile beast. Definitely is easy to do. Jamil saying, can't afford a cam right now, but I'm planning on that later. But what are your thoughts on the power gains with the bolt-ons I named? I don't know, man. Probably somewhere in the 35 to 40 horsepower range. Joe T, just as an example, third-gen F-bodies and C6s are pretty light. So I agree, if you want a light car for the strip, look at one. Look, not only are they light, but they're light on the pocketbook too. There's a lot cheaper ways to go nines, mid nines or deep nines than a demon. So if you're doing it because you love Mopar and you want to support the Mopar cause and all of that, then fist pump. But if you want to do it daily and if you want to do it in a way that isn't going to, set you back, 4 years of your retirement fund to fix, what the freaking hair just blew in my mouth. Then yeah, go with something a little bit less expensive. Where's this glare coming from, dude? This is driving me nuts. Hang on. That fix it? I didn't fix it. Damn thing. All right, getting back to it. Take out the passenger seat or the back seat in the sub soon. Cool. Dr. Div saying all the seat and tailgate was worth about 150, 175 pounds. Slash saying you said 420. It's a lifestyle, bro. I don't have to say it. Blackbird's lolling. Let's see. Slash was saying another reason I was going to buy that aluminum bumper support was because I already had the entire front bumper off my Hellcat to put the airbox in. If that's the case, I say go for it, man. I mean, if you've got the whole thing torn apart, shit, why not? And that's the other thing too, man. No judgment here. If you want to go that route, that's your prerogative. It's your car. It's your money. Spend it however you want. But just understand that, okay, so a bumper support, at least it's a bumper support. At least it's, you're going back with something lighter, but it's still something there. As opposed to some of the guys that are just removing parts altogether or gutting interior altogether. So, and I've thought about the bumper supports too. I'm just too lazy to take my bumper off. Let's see. Rip saying, I think taking out the passenger seat and the back seat is not cheating in any way. In fact, in my opinion, putting something like a carbon fiber hood and maybe a carbon fiber trunk and stuff like that is still not cheating in any way. Ruben's asking, would I take out both seats and put race seats in? That is a good question. I would say that would be just fine. And, also to Riff's point, is it wrong to take the seats out? Well, again, it depends on how the wording of this quote unquote record is. And it depends on how you want to look at, is it still the same car? Because again, we're talking about, okay, if carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber fenders are cool, all that's fine, then is it still is that a modified car then? Can you say that, okay, well, instead of throwing more power at the car, I decided to go in a different route and pick up ET by stripping weight. That means carbon fiber fenders or fiberglass hood or whatever the case is, however it works out for your car. There is a certain level of just general acceptance, right? I mean, you would have to agree with that. So yeah, I would say that. So in my opinion, yeah, going with carbon fiber fenders or a carbon fiber hood or a trunk lid, yeah, that's perfectly fine. There's aftermarket manufacturers that make that stuff, but you're modifying the car, and in modifying the car, you can't go after a stock record. Is I guess my point that I'm making, but I don't know. This is that part of the controversy that starts to kick up where people will say, well, if it's not stock, how can you claim stock? Like I used to joke, yeah, it's H-Town stock. All right. So yeah, my car is H-Town stock. It's got a gear. All right. And it's got a drag pack and a little bit of transmission tuning, but it's still stock boost, still stock timing. So that part of it's stock. So the whole car is stock, right? You start to really get mired up in some funky stuff when you start to get into that stuff. That's why I'm asking you guys, where are y'all with all of this? Let's see. But to Ruben's point, would I take out both seats and put race seats in? Sure. I mean, that kind of still keeps it being a car. It just depends on the race seat. I mean, look, I wouldn't leave them in long term. These seats are too damn comfy, man. I'm fat and old, man. I like sitting back there and, just kind of snuggling into those seats and going on long trips because I do take my car on long road trips. So I like having the seats in the thing. Plus, I don't know. I just didn't feel like removing them for the track rental. Riff is asking, maybe they should have different classes where people who modify their cars heavily with weight savings race against the same kind of cars. And we're saying, do you not have a catch can, my man? I don't have a catch can. But as far as that goes, I mean, you can race against whoever you want. But again, the auspice of all of this is record setting. When somebody says, well, my car has the quarter mile record for stock. Well, there's not a lot left of the car in some of these cases that I saw at Legion at Demons, or in some cases just in general. I've seen this with the 392 cars. I've seen this with Mustangs, Camaros. I've seen it with everything. Hellcats, obviously. So that's why I'm asking, because I keep seeing this, and one guy will say, I went, like for the 392 guys, yeah, man, my car went 1190s, 1180s, or whatever. Bone stock, all I had was a drag radial, but full weight, everything in the car. Damn, that's impressive. And then somebody else can say, yeah, but I went 1150 with mine, or I went 1130 with mine. Okay, well, what'd you have done to it? Well, it's got carbon fiber, and you start going down the list. But the engine and the tune are still stock. So you go, well, I guess it's stock, but I mean, you got about $3,000 worth of not stock spent on your car. You know what I mean? I guess in that respect, if you're spending money on it, it ain't stock anymore. I don't know. Again, it just depends on how you want to look at it. Shawnee's saying, I pull about 200 pounds out of my Hellcat Challenger from street trim, passenger seat, back seat, sway bar, skinnies, and subwoofer. Yeah, you do. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Shaun, thank you very much. Shaun's asking, would a stock Demon run on 93 octane with skinnies and about a 142 60 foot and about 1,000 foot DA? Asking for a friend. Actually, I can tell you exactly what they run. When you are on 93 octane, they run identical to my car. They run like a 1020 or a 1010, typically in those conditions on 93 octane. In fact, they'll run an identical number to what mine ran, which was a 1024. I've seen stock Demons on 93 octane run back to back 1020, mid 1020s. So let your friend know that. And then Riff checking in. Thank you very much for the contribution to the cause. Asking, at what point does having a 309 gear in your Hellcat really help your time in the quarter mile? Awesome question. It helps in two very important areas. Number one, it helps the car get off the line, and it helps it really through about the first 100 feet. The 60 foots came down considerably with the 309 gear. I'm now averaging 151, 152 60 foots. And if the DA is really low, I've got really good air, the car's making a lot of power, it'll be 148, 149, 60 foots. Basically like clockwork. And, but yeah, if this car doesn't 60 foot somewhere in the 155 range, it's not a good day, and it's got to be really crappy for it to be in the low 160s. The other part that it helps is way at the other end of the drag strip. It will go through the traps at the very top of fifth gear. And I am shifting right at the billboards, right as it was dragging fifth gear through that point. So I'm able to have the car accelerate harder for 3 to 4 seconds. And then about the last 3 to 4 seconds on the big end, it's accelerating significantly harder. So hopefully that answers the question. Awesome question, by the way, man. Excellent. Argarasi saying, hey, B, good evening. Got the thumbs up. What's up? Add too much weight. Damn right it would. No. Paul's asking, what mile per hour did you run with the 1024? With all of the 1024s that I ran, I was 132.5 on almost every single one of them. Between 132.42 is the first number that comes to mind, or like 132.80 something. So figure 132.5. Shawnee's checking in with Rift. Rift is asking, did Leah Pritchett run that in a stock Demon? Inquiring minds would like to know, my friend, because there is no video and no pictorial documentation of those runs. And to put it in a different way, you can't prove that she ran it on NT05s. There's a great chance she could have run it on ET Street Rs. We'll never know, and that is the loophole that a lot of these guys are trying to fall into. My expressed counterpoint to that, that's an argument you're not going to win with me, because the car was the car was advertised as delivered running a 965 on the tires. They did a wheelie on stage with the thing. Yeah, that's how it was shown to be delivered. So I have to assume that that is how the car was run. And to that point, that car was run in like negative 2,700 foot DA or something like that, something in that range, plus or minus 10%. DAs that we never see down here. So there's that to consider as well when we're talking about that 965. Paul's asking, do you have the lower BMR bars on your Hellcat, and what do they really do? I don't have the lower bars on my Hellcat, but what they do is they help to keep the rear of the independent rear suspension that will kind of move around a little bit. It helps to solidify that, helps it from wandering. But new lower trailing arms are probably in this car's future. Shawnee is saying, I haven't seen anybody outrun your Hellcat with the same mods. My best was a 1056 at 132. With the same mods as you, I barely got by you with the lower pulley. I wouldn't say you barely got by me. The car was running 10.0s, man. The car's fast. And Rip is saying, if he remembers correctly, she beat that number. It's entirely possible. I wouldn't doubt that she could have or did, but that's kind of some kind of cheeky sideshow shit that some people like to do, going, oh yeah, I went faster than that. That's just the only number. Shut up. Just post the number. But again, that's the kind of bullshit that you run into with some people. I'm sure she would say something like that, just in case somebody beats the number. Oh, I went quicker than that. Leah, shut your fucking mouth. Joe T saying, it's funny you bring this up. I remember when SRT B5 had a scat pack, and I guess a set a record for fastest stock quarter mile, but he took out the seats and some other stuff, and people attacked him. Well, that's the thing. The issue is that the people that are attacking him because they haven't removed the seats in their car, but these are probably the same people that started removing shit out of their car. So again, it's the game that we play, right? Symphonic saying, don't cheat like them Astros. No, it's don't get caught like them Astros. And Shawnee and Rip, thank you very much. Appreciate that again. Let's see. We got Shawnee and Rift hanging out. Let's see. Rift got the arm flex. I like it. Shawnee's saying, my car in full drag pack form Weighs about 4180 to 4190. 2016 8-speed Hellcat Challenger street trim is closer to 4400. That is correct. With me in the car, by the way, mine weighed 44. I think it was 4450. Blackbird saying street car. LSX Jimmy saying, we're talking about Mopar micro records tonight. Fun stuff. You better believe it's fun, and it is micro record evening. So if you're late to the show, definitely talking about some of these demon stock records and what is and what isn't a record, what justifies a record, and the lengths and the steps that people will take to get to that point, which, again, to me, can be entertaining just on its own. But yes, the micro record channel is in full effect this evening, my brother. Dr. Div saying, yep, mine's stock too. Yeah, it is. PA stock, right? Mr. 76 Aspen's in the house saying if performance upgrades or bolt-on means stock, that means nitrous and anything else we consider stock. I don't think that's fair because who can spend the most money wins the race, which ends up being the case. And again, like it's already been stated once already, lightweight stuff costs a lot of money. It's amazing how much it costs to lose weight. Let's see. Riffs saying, I'm thinking about just getting a lower pulley for my Hellcat and forgetting the upper pulley because of the crappy gas we have here in California. Going on to say, I believe a 10% overdrive lower pulley gives you 2 more pounds of boost from what I heard. It's sort of, yeah. And I would suggest 2 things. One, you're in California, so go with a gear first. You can get by with a gear. You can also make changes to the trans tune that's not gonna affect anything as far as emissions. And guys, you got to remember, I'm still running stock catalytic converters on this car, running 1024s now. Does that solidify a micro record? Hey Jimmy, I'll leave that one up for you to research. But anyway, no. The thing is that you want to optimize what you've got as stock. And don't really worry too much about the rest of it. Besides, a 309 gear is not that hard to swap in and out of the car if you know what you're up to. But, again, I don't know. I wouldn't bother so much with a lower pulley on a car that's shackled with 91 octane. Your car is already riding the knock sensors pretty hard as it is. So keep that in the back of your mind. Shaun saying, I got just under 2 tenths for his 309 gears, but I really noticed the mile an hour in the 1/8 and the quarter for sure. Sam's checking in saying, what up, Sam? Sam and Jackson's asking, what are your thoughts on a short throw dipstick? I don't know. Check the contents of your pants and let us know. Mr. 76 Aspen saying, stock for stock performance parts, no upgrade. Or stock is stock performance parts, no upgrades. Dash is saying, never comment, but love your Hellcat, love your channel. Thank you very much. Been wanting a Challenger since they came back out in 08, but life had me delayed. One of these damn years, thumbs up. Man, ain't no sin in saving, man. And I'll tell you something. I love them, and if you ever get the opportunity to drive them, man, just take it because they're a riot to drive. These boats will really get after it. But thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Paul's asking, do you have a 17 or an 18 Mickey Thompson on the rear? I'm running 17s. T saying, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. You better believe it. And it's only cheating if you get caught. Sam saying, it amazes me what a good converter and a built trans can do. That is very true. Just don't get greedy with it. Too much stall in a converter. In other words, too much converter can actually ruin how the car drives. Let's see. Riff's got a question that's been bothering him. Let's see. Jimmy jumps in and says, as available from the factory. Yeah. Or whatever the new flavor of the month saying is. Yes, as available from the factory. I'll take that one better, bro. I've got as available from Mopar. How about that? So I've got as available from Mopar, 309 gears. As available from Mopar, red eye rear seat delete. And on and on and on. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. We're saying, I'm thinking about trading my 2015 Hellcat in that has a little over 12,000 miles for a 2019 red eye wide body. Do you think it would be worth it? So let's look at that from this perspective. The red eye demon, the red eye demon, the red eye Hellcat record was set at Legion of Demons. Boy, talk about getting ahead of yourself. This is what I heard anyway. As available from the factory, I don't know if the guy had seats in it or whatever. All I know is a 309 gear car on a drag pack. My understanding, I think I actually saw the car. It's a blue car, I think. Pretty car. When a 1018 or a 1019 stock. And that really got underneath my skin, y'all, because I'm sitting there. I went 1024 in soup. And I was begging. I even had my car with me. I was begging to get my car on that drag strip. But the fates would not allow it. But in the soup that I ran the 24s in, I'm pretty sure that given the conditions that they had that night, this thing would have probably gone somewhere deeper into the 20s or maybe into the teens. I've been right there with that red eye on that red eye record, which actually also kind of, I don't know, the Demon on 93 record would be the other way to go with that too. So it's the same freaking car. Anyway, more Demons run 1020s and 10 teens than run 9s. I'll just leave it at that. Shaun, you saying Legion of Demons recap video? I was not taking any video at Legion of Demons because I was actually working with some guys there. So no video. Shawty Rift saying, put a lower on your Hellcat and beat red eyes with your car and save 20 grand. Provided that your fuel quality will allow for it. Sam saying, hello, Shaun and TU. We're saying it would cost me $160 more a month. How to get the wide body, or now if you went with the red eye. Shaun, he's saying go for it. You know, I tell you what, here's what I would say. If you like the car more, I would say go for it, but don't buy the red eye thinking that it's going to be faster than your Hellcat. It's going to be the driving experience. They have more torque down low, but aside from that, you would never really notice the difference. But if you do decide to get one, get a 309 gear car for sure. And at $160 more a month, I mean, if it's not going to put you out, you're still able to save up money and, you know, put food on the table and keep the lights on. If this is what you're into, live it, man. I say go for it. They're a lot of fun to drive. Like I say, the big difference between the two is the bigger blower, you get a little bit more torque down low. You won't really notice the top end at all. There's maybe 40 horsepower to the rear wheels separating the two cars. 50 if you find a healthy one, but that's about it. But I think you'll like the car a lot. It sounds to me like you may have already made up your mind, bro. I like it. Keep us posted. Paul's saying he just ran a 1043 at $133 with 262 and an 18. That's the same number that I ran with my 262 gear, which is in, oh, you can't see it. There's a closet right there. So yeah, you've got yourself a healthy, happy Hemi. T's checking in with Sam Grable. Let's see. Sam saying, I run an 1800 RPM stall in his diesel. That'd be a fun truck to drive. Paul's saying at 4,500 pounds, so you think I might pick up with the 309 I can put in? Yeah. Yeah, you can get a 309 put in that car, and yes, you will pick up. My car, look, I'll put it to you like this. The Hellcat should have come factory with a 309 gear. I will say it would do you a whole lot of good to be able to have tuning capacity, though, because you're going to want to ramp up your driver command torque with a 309 gear. Contrary to how you think this stuff works, without having really any resistance to push on, you actually lose cylinder pressure per throttle input, basically because there's less mechanical load. So what you want to do is you want to ramp up your driver command torque to get that throttle response back. I know it seems counterintuitive, but believe me when I tell you, the 309 gears, when you install them, will feel soft until you roll into the throttle real hard, and then you find out that they're not softer at all. Oh, Sam's saying the way I see it, you should not do power outers until you learn the car well enough. Properly spoken, my friend. And also, always build your car from the rear to the front. Don't ever build your car from the front to the rear. That's how you break parts right after the engine all the way back. Build it from the back to the front, and you'll build yourself something that'll be durable. Sam saying, oh, wait, we already talked about that. Riffs saying, I think the main reason I want a red eye is because I know that in the future I can mod the hell out of the engine and not worry so much about it blowing. Be careful how you state that, and be careful how you take that information. You can still window a block just as well by fuel yipping a red eye. It's not really easier or harder to blow one up. I can tell you that they do have their limits. That blower has got its limits, and I can tell you that it will take more power, but it also takes a seasoned and knowledgeable tuner to extract that power out of that car. There's some things about the red eye that everybody's still kind of on a learning curve with, and part of that has to do with the amount of heat that blower makes over and above the 2.4 liter blower that's sitting on a little cutie pie back behind me. All right. Let's see. Yeah, John G's checking in saying, hey, from the frozen New York. What's up, my man? Say, finally scored Demon Drive Shaft for the Hellcat. Yes. Congratulations, my man. The best mods you can possibly make. Luke Rich saying, what's the fastest you've run you've made with your Hellcat? The fastest would be 132.8 on a 1024 with a 6 pass. The quickest pass is a 1024 with a 2. That I actually, when I made that pass, I thought the car, the 1024 with a 6, I could have sworn, 2 of those I thought, oh, and it went 1024 with a 6 back to back, by the way. But I thought one of the 1024s with a 6 was a teen. The car came out of the hole just on fire. So, and 1024 with a 2 is just going down the drag strip. So, goes to show you that an experienced button dyno doesn't do you much good. Let's see. Paul's saying that he can tune with HP. Perfect. That's all you need then. You're in good shape. Just get the computer unlocked and you're off to the races. HP is what I use too. Rift is saying, so the drag pack I bought came with 17-inch 305 45s. Do you think I should have got ones with a bigger sidewall? No. It's the same tire that I use. You'll be in good shape. Shaun is saying, yeah, he ran a 48 60 foot with the same tires. LSX Jimmy saying, Mike at OST advises us against the 309 in our Whipple Cat. I'm guessing at a certain power level, it becomes too much gear. Yeah, it kind of does. At y'all's power level right now, I think a 309 gear would be fine, but I think where you could easily go with it, the 262 is going to offer 2 things. One, it's going to offer you the ability to carry 6th gear, or rather 5th gear deeper. And so that's more or less the same thing. If you're making more power, you can carry that gear deeper, which is what you want to do in the situation that you're in. And 2, the 262 gear set is just physically a stronger gear set. It's just beefier than that 309. That pinion gear is anyway. It makes for a stronger setup. Plus, you don't get the tendency for it to try to ride, for the pinion to try to climb the ring gear the way that you would with a 309 at your power level right now. So there's several things kind of at play here. The way that I like to tell guys is that somewhere around 800 horsepower to the rear wheels is your cutoff. That's the gray area. You could either go with 309 or not 309 at that point. But if you go deeper than that, then I would say 262 would probably be a better gear, and carry that gear out to about 900-ish, 950-ish horsepower to the rear wheels. And that would be my my suggestion. That'll allow you to go, I think, 146 or 150, I think. I think it'll allow you to go 150-ish in the quarter and not have to shift into 6th. That's really the reason why he's telling you that. Let's see. Rift is saying, I heard that porting the blower on a Hellcat helps with the heat. It doesn't. And you can make the same amount of power with less boost. Not exactly true at all. The idea with porting the blower is to try to get more air to the rotors. But the problem is that you're still sucking it through a 90 odd millimeter throttle body, and that's really not going to do you a whole lot of favors. So yeah, you can port the blower. If you're really turning the wick up on the blower, it will absolutely help, but you've got to be in the 20 plus pounds of boost before that's really even going to start to help you. There are a bunch of stock blower cars that are running damn near into the 8s, certainly in the low 9s on the stock blower with no porting whatsoever. So that'll give you an idea. Now it's with a little bit of nitrous, but even without the nitrous, they're running 950s, 940s on unported blowers. Paul's asking, do you think the 18s are better engines because of ARPs? Man, I would love to agree with that statement. The only problem is that the 15s, 16s, and 17s are not braking because they don't have ARPs. In fact, some of the nastiest, highest horsepower stock block cars that I know of are 15s and 16s. So go figure, right? Sam's saying, I'd buy a used 5.9 diesel before a 5.7 gas, but the weak link is the trans. All right, a little bit off topic, but okay. Riffs saying, at what point does the blower on a normal Hellcat start to get overspun? Well, that depends on who you talk to. If you talk to IHI, it's somewhere around 10% over the stock pulley ratio. But I don't know, a 10% lower with a 255 upper has been proven to work somewhat long term, but I don't know. These little IHI blowers are pretty amazing with what they can do. So I would say it's not really an overspinning thing. What I would argue is that, you know, at what point does the efficiency really start to trail off? I would say probably somewhere just after a 265 upper and a 10% lower. Any more pulley ratio than that, and you're going to be kind of starting to get into the diminishing returns section of the efficiency range. But I think what you're really more concerned with is that blower coming apart than anything else. I have seen the aftermath, by the way, of a blower letting go. It ain't pretty, but the engine survived because the bricks, the intercooler bricks, caught all the miscellaneous flotsam and jetsam coming apart on that blower. But I've also seen Whipples come undone too, so it's not all just the IHI blowers that can get overspun. Dr. just saying, I love the 410s and the Ram. After the drag pack, it loved the extra gear. I have a set of 355s for it, but it's been doing so well. Yeah, I would say 410s will work out really well for your truck, especially with the weight. LSX Jimmy's saying, yeah, we picked up some power with Mike's tune, probably around 950 wheel horsepower and dyno jet. Gonna be strapping it to the rollers this weekend. Oh, cool. Let me know how it does. I'd be interested to see how that tune is working out for you. And really, you know, trying to get the car into a little bit better air than what we had at the rental, man. I mean, there's just no accounting for Mother Nature, but damn, dude, that soup was just killing all of us. But, you know, that being said, still had a great time. Car ran great, too. Let's see. Mr. 76 asks us, how much horsepower and torque do you think the V6 rear end and an 06 Charger will handle 390 ratio? I don't know. I wouldn't want to try it. I mean, get the stuff that you're supposed to be throwing power at. I don't know, maybe 450 horsepower, give or take. Some of the newer stuff, man, it'll handle a lot more power than you think. I'd say 450 wheel is pushing it. Ethan Hack saying, just got new injectors in E85 for the 5-liter. What's the deal with some tuners offering flex fuel and others just won't do it? Are there fuel system issues in regards to mixing 93 and E85? Well, so here's the thing. If you're talking about Mopars, the protocol for flex fuel is is part of the operating system, but you have to import some other data into an operating system to make it work. And the problem is these cars were never designed to run an E85 setup, even though the operating system can manage it. It can't. Like there's parameters in there that you would, if you're tuning the car, think, oh damn, this thing's got flex fuel capability, only to find out that even by flipping the switch on, it doesn't actually run flex fuel. So to answer your question, it has more to do with the operating system than anything else. And there are some workarounds to make it work for the Fords and certainly the Chevrolets, but the Mopars just don't have it. And where they really don't have it is they don't have it from a reliability standpoint. It will work up to a certain point and then it doesn't. And part of that has to do with NOx sensors and adjusting the NOx sensors. That's how the Demon actually knows that it's in 100 octane mode. There's just some things that are annoying when you start to get into the Mopars with flex fuel, among other things that can be annoying about them. Let's see. Adam's checking in, professing his adoration for turtles. Excellent. Not a big fan myself, but if you like them, say go with it, man. Let's see, Riffs saying, I don't know if you saw Mondefang's blower after his engine blew, but it definitely showed having too much boost on the IHI blower can backfire into the rotors. Yeah, I didn't see it. I had heard something let go, but yeah, if things go wrong, they can go wrong in a bad way, especially when you consider that these blowers are spinning 16, 17,000 RPM. Slash is checking out. Good night to you, my friend. Rip is saying, that's a good question, Ethan Hack. I would love to have a setup where I could run E85 sometime and then regular gas others. I tell you what, I would love a true flex fuel capability. I mean, that's really what separates the Mopars from the GMs right now, is that the GM operating system is just as simple as a plug-and-play sensor. And that's it. You can actually have your monitor right there on your A-pillar and monitor your E85 content. You'll have a sliding scale for timing and fueling, and should be as easy as pie. But that's because the GM system works in a different way than the Mopar system does. And I mean, let's face it, the Mopar system is terrible when it comes to any type of E85 flex fuel capability with this modern stuff. Let's see. Sam's asking, kind of like 373s for a truck. Do you think there's a lot of economy left in tuning on a Gen 3 Hemi and in the Hellcats? There's some, but typically you're really not tuning for a true economy run. You would never actively try to change the stoichiometric ratio because it has a tendency of pissing off the rest of the modifiers in these operating systems. You can't, in other words, you can't force a lean burn condition. But that being said, I would say economy, as long as it's running stoichiometric, that's the economy that you want to go for with these engines, especially because they're tumble port. They have a tendency to want a little bit more fuel. Oh, Rip is saying what obsessed me the most is the higher the octane, the lower emissions the car put out. So I have no idea why I have such crappy gas up there. That is true if you've got very high compression in naturally aspirated engines, which is kind of what they're going back to. Let's see. Shaun's asking, what would it take for me to make the decision to start pulling a little bit more weight out of my car? Seats, bumpers, sway bar, etc. I don't know, man. I'm just not there. I'm not motivated to do it because I like bringing a car to you that has all the interior components of an automobile, as opposed to the accoutrement of a motorcycle. I'm just not going to do that. And the other thing too is there's a certain level of dedication that you have to really start, I don't know, taking all the parts off the car, have a goal in sight, and this is what I'm going after, and just taking that approach. I'm just not playing that game. And to me, it goes back to how much how much of the car can I remove from the car and still, I don't know, still have it be the car that I bought? I prefer to err on the side of caution and just have more car than maybe I need. And again, if somebody's going to be removing that much weight and doing everything that they can to run a number, cheers, man. I mean, I'm not going to ever say that that's a bad thing, but what I will say is if you're going to go that route, I mean, more power to you, but I don't know. For me, it's kind of a bit of a safety thing. I will say this though. I have thought about doing the aluminum bumper supports on my car. Let's talk about what I've thought about doing to mine, you know, so that I'm not a complete freaking hypocrite, right? So things that I've thought about, aluminum bumper supports is one. I've already got the lightweight battery, which is working great. So I've already done that. I've already got the rear seat delete, but my car is kind of a lightweight anyway, just the way that it's optioned. It's a base model Hellcat. So, I'm only down to this last 40 odd pounds that I'm honestly willing to remove from the car. And, I've got, I don't know, even with that, I'm a little bit, I don't know, there's a certain level of trepidation there, mainly because it just, I don't know, there's maybe a safety thing there that I'm looking at. I don't know. Either way, I think I'm just going to leave it the way it sits and let her go from there. Riffs is asking, oh, Shaun, thank you very much. Saying tent fund. Good night, everybody. Brother, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. The tent fund is real. It may be happening here pretty soon, by the way. Riffs is asking, so Hemi Fever got back to me today and asked me what I want to set the shift points at. I know you said 6,200 before, but I'm thinking to go into 65. No. Okay, so look, set the shift points-ish to 6,250 and let it ride. You'll be within 1% on every shift. It's going to depend on acceleration rate, traction, DA, and all that as far as where within that 1%. Either way, it'll fall. But do not spin that thing to 6,500 RPM. Stretch it out maybe to 63 or 64 in fifth, but no, don't spin it to 65. It will not go faster. Rick is asking, I've heard of people like certain people, but he has it set to 7,000, but I don't want to take that chance. I wouldn't. It's actually not needed. It's not needed on several different levels. Look, if I'll put it to like this, if it was worth it to do and it made an efficient amount of sense to do, I would have already been up and doing it, wouldn't you think? I mean, I'm running the numbers that I'm running with all that you see behind me with the lower shift points. I'm not stressing anything. So there you have it. With mine with a 309 gear, I will stretch it out just so that I can go through the traps in fifth at the very top of fifth. But I'm not spinning. I will not let it go to 6,500 RPM. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to give away all my secrets. But my shift point is not 6,500 RPM at all. Even with the 309 on the big end. Let's see. Oh, Sam's saying, actually, the NOx emissions go up. The leaner you burn, carbon emissions go down. That makes sense. Riffs is asking, what does a Hellcat shift at normally in auto mode? Usually around 6,100 RPM. Somewhere between 6 and 61. Shawnee's saying, I try to run a number and pull weight, but I never claimed it's street trim. It's always by max drag pack. It's a good way of looking at it. It's a good way to talk about it, too. It's an honest way to talk about it, which is a good way. The only way. Boosie Cody's saying, I've been watching too much MMA. I came in here expecting you to be on some kind of a diet. technically I am on a diet, and technically I am cutting weight. I am trying to get back to the weight that I did train at, which was walking at 170, and I guess you could say my cage weight would be, or walking at 185, actual compete at 170. And right now I am nowhere near those numbers because it's been a long time since I've done any of that shit. Shawnee's saying, I never want to BS anybody. I always run at full weight when I first get it and build down from there. Absolutely. Riffs saying, so maybe I should go with 6,250 or 6,300 at the most. That's what I would do. Absolutely. And that's going to take a little bit of work because you've got to be on a sticky tire on a prepared track to really dial in those shift points. So just know that coming into it. John's saying that he's added a little bit of weight in the trunk for better traction. Might work. I would say that your track prep would probably need a little bit of loving on that. What tire were you running to do that? Rick is also asking, so would getting some Demon Springs help more than getting a 309 gear? No, the Demon Springs would work in concert, I think, with a 309 gear. I don't think there's enough torque. There's just not enough of an acceleration rate to fully take advantage of those Demon Springs with a 262 gear. Or to put it another way, I don't think the car is making enough power to take advantage of a 262 gear or to take advantage of the springs with a 262 gear, if that makes any sense. Or maybe I should get both. I would say get both. Oh, here we go. He's also asking, what do I think about using the launch control even at the lowest setting? I never use launch control, man. I don't even know why that feature is in there. I foot brake it, and that's what the car seems to like. Let's see. Dr. Div saying track prep was good at the rental. Can't wait to do it again. Hoping the TNT is good this weekend at Evendale. Yeah, let me know how it does, by the way. Let's see. John G. say at 275 M&H on 17s. Those are good tires. Paul's asking, can I talk more about the TW modifier? You talking about which TW modifier? Got to be a little bit more specific. TW modifier? Am I missing something there? Maybe I'm just not putting two and two together. Oh, torque modifier. Oh, you're talking about, okay. So what part of it do you want to talk about? Are you talking about torque management, or are you talking about the driver command torque? Is that what you're asking about? Let me know which one you want me to talk about. I'd be more than happy to talk about. Because you have torque management and then driver command torque, two completely different things. Riff saying, so on top of having the Hellcat, also got the buttons for my steering wheel. My question to you is there any way to roll out of the burnout using line lock? Yeah, I think you just press the button again. I can't do it on mine because the 15s have no reference. Actually, it's on this side. Have no reference for the areas on that steering wheel. I didn't know that. Have I thought about doing a two-step? No, I have not. Not even going to consider it. Dr. Div saying, oh, on Revlon, yep. Riff saying, I don't want to have to be stuck using the line lock in one spot and not able to roll out of it like you do when you leave the brake off slowly. Let's see. Paul's asking about okay, so driver command torque is what I was talking about for the 309. So what that is basically is that's just a fancy hoity-toity tuner way of talking about pedal sensitivity. You can do the same thing with a pedal commander, by the way. If you get a 309 gear and you don't want to get a tune, but you want to get that snappy throttle back, just get you a pedal commander. Set it up to be a little bit more aggressive and go out there and have fun with it. I love pedal commanders, by the way. A lot of folks ask me, damn mosquitoes. Anyway, a lot of folks ask me about those things, and I think they're great. I think that they're part of, that they add theater to the car, and, it's kind of like a cold air intake on a Hellcat. If you go 309, go with that pedal commander. If you don't want to put a tune on it. Dr. Div saying probably get out of the hole better. Probably not, man. I don't think it would. I really don't. I don't think it would do a whole lot of good at all. I would not put one on this car. Not on something with a positive displacement supercharger. Sam saying, after I put the stall converter in, I noticed my 4100 time in Mexico went down, but I also noticed that with the built trans responds better. Makes sense. Paul saying, driver command, I can tune in. Cool. Yep, it's easy to do. Just make sure you don't forget to do the inverse. Dr. Div saying, I know it worked wonders on the Ram. Then again, I needed it to spool up. Yeah, see, on a positive displacement supercharger, I've got instant spool. So when I'm sitting there holding that thing at about 1200 RPM, 1300 RPM, when I go to wide open throttle, I've got all the boost that thing can make right now. Let's see. Riffs is asking, can you explain to me exactly what torque management is and why it's a good idea to get rid of it when I tune it? It is not a good idea to get rid of torque management. It's a good idea to possibly mitigate it, but there are varying aspects to torque management. And basically what it is it's a series of spark modifiers, throttle modifiers, and other things that are there to help mitigate torque to the transmission, to help save the transmission in high torque vehicle applications, like this contraption sitting behind me. What it'll do is it'll chop timing, chop throttle, back off the bypass, or do other things to allow the transmission to shift easier going into gear. Now, there are some levels to it that you can say are a little bit overkill, but you can kill internal. Did y'all see that son of a bitch? Look at that. Boom, dead. Back to hell from whence you came. But you always want to leave external torque management in play. In other words, always leave the TCM trans torque management in play. The internal stuff you can kind of play with a little bit, but I don't kill it. I never kill it entirely. That's how you can hurt a transmission. Let's see. Dr. Div saying the 9 drive is cheaper and works the same as a pedal commander. Yeah, pedal commander in this case is more like Kleenex or rollerblade. It's just like a generic term for a pedal interrupt. See, John G saying when going to a 309, is it a Demon reed or Scat Pack reed? Oh, rear end. Scat Pack. I mean, that's what I've been running in mine. Everybody was running in theirs for forever. Yeah, don't worry about getting a Demon rear end. Just get the normal 309 HP rear end and you'll be in good shape. Dr. is saying that his wife uses the 9 drive for eco mode and she hates it on the tip end. Yeah, it is. In eco mode, it's dead. I think it limits it to like 70% throttle or something like that, if that. Dr. is saying you will put a trans in it if you get rid of torque management for sure. Yep, I will agree to that. Live through that, as a matter of fact. Rip is saying, thank you for all that. I have always really wondered what torque management was. Yeah, there's a lot going on with torque management. It's not just a table or a thing. It's a host of things that are also all interwoven and webbed together. So you can adjust part of it, you can eliminate some of it, but there are some rules and regulations to playing with torque management. And you never want to go outside of those rules. You can either hurt the car or you can make it to where you can make it to where you're hurting it really for no reason, if that makes any sense, or you're overloading it for no reason. You're just not going to get any real benefit out of it. I've played with all kinds, by the way, I've played with all kinds of different settings with torque management, minimum spark tables, and all this other crap that all kind of gel into each other with varying levels of just infinitesimal successes here and there. And I mean, when you start to look at it as a whole, it just doesn't make any sense to carry forward with it. So, hang on just a sec, guys. I gotta get this thing's about to die. Hang on. Damn it. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. I gotta bring this thing back to life. Time now. Hold up. I don't want this thing to go dying on us now. Haven't had that happen yet. All right, I'm back. All right, getting back into it. Let's see. Rift is asking, is it true torque management only kicks in the first few gears? No, it is always in play. Always in play. Speed Freak 93 says, hey everyone, late to the garage chat, but I made it. Ow, got the horns, I like it. Sam saying on 14 to 18 Rams, it was the first 3 gears. Actually, no, it's always in play. There's always some level of torque management in play. Again, it just depends on which level that you're looking at. But no, you can look at data logs and see it chopping throttle, chopping timing, and then feeding it back in. Oh, he's saying that's with the diesel. Yeah, it might have been with the diesel. That's true. Dr. Div saying, hoping to be able to get gears for those rear ends soon. Been working with Yukon on it, but 2-cut gears are just expensive, so it's easier to just swap it currently. Eventually, there will be some. I'm hoping so, man, because, you know, you could corner the market for the guys with the Scat Packs. I mean, you could corner the market with a 331 gear for those cars. I mean, that would be perfect, be ideal for them. Somewhere between 327 and 331. We can just go 330 and call it good. Rift is asking if he thought the new spoiler on the Red Eye was a better option for drag racing. It's shaped more like what drag cars have. Maybe. I don't know. I've actually thought about getting one for this one, but we'll see. Junior checking in saying, howdy, B. Howdy, Junior. Hope things are going well for you. Rift is saying, also thinking taking off the spoiler in general for drag racing. I know it would not do much, but it could help a bit. I don't know what it would do for you, but there were some demons with no... There's some demons with no spoilers, man. So who knows? But if you remove it, I guess that's a weight savings option too, right? I mean, I don't know how much the spoiler weighs, and I'm sure I can already hear it. Oh, if you take the spoiler off, that's going to reduce drag and weight. Okay. Whatever. Golly, what a pain in the arse. But hey, man, when you're going for a record, every bit helps, and it's every man for himself, right? So at least there's that to consider. But I appreciate y'all chiming in and letting me know what y'all thought about some of the weight saving. I don't know. It's funny to me, I guess, in a way, because I see this stuff and it just makes me laugh. Some of the ideas that they had for it. Rich saying, I mean, it only seems like you need it at a certain point, and hell, cats don't seem to need it at this point. So let's see. Dr. Div saying, I still want to race the manual Hellcat that was out there. It would be a pretty good race, actually. Paul saying, can you give us the part number for the 309s on the case sticker? No, I can't, because I don't have the box anymore. But if you just do a Google search for 309 rear gear for a Hellcat, you'll see it come up, and it'll have the latest part number. I think it's an AB part number, if I'm not mistaken. Rip's asking, what's my opinion on the sequential? I guess you're talking about the sequential transmissions. No, it's not worth it at all, man. I mean, no, God, no. That would be thousands upon thousands of dollars, and no, you would not get anything really out of that. ET Racing, Shawnee never disclosed that he has a sneaky Pete on his Hellcat. He didn't need one, man. That Innovators West lower and that Pikes Performance tune got that car into the 10.0s. He probably could have gone 9s if I'm being honest, but yeah, the car's making a lot of snot. So yeah, he definitely had it going on for sure. Could have easily gone 9s. I think it went a 10.07. But I'll put it to you like this. We did not have the best air, and I'm not trying to, downplay the day. I mean, we had great DA. The temperature was nice and low and all of that. But guys, I got to tell you, we had some dog shit air quality. I mean, grains were like maxed out. We were literally running the cars in a fog. You couldn't see past the billboards when we first got to the track, and couldn't see past the billboards couldn't see the end of the track until about 10 o'clock, 10:30 really, and we started running at about 9:15. John G's asking about blower snout porting and bearing plate porting, better airflow and less weight. Well, no, not really. Again, you really have to be spooling those blowers up to get the most out of that porting. Regardless of what anybody will tell you, unless you're running a 2-pulley setup, you're really not going to see anything out of it. That's just what I've seen so far at the track. Dr. Div saying, my feeling is anything you do to modify your car, either weight or power or whatever, it is no longer stock, period. Can't see how the people say it's stock when it's modified. That's the thing. I mean, there's certain things that you have to give some creative license to, like tires or a battery or something like that. But when it comes to what is and what isn't stock, it's pretty cut and dry. If you spent money to modify something, it's not stock anymore at all, among other things. Timeout. Had a technical difficulty. What in the hell? Sorry, guys. Bear with me here just a second. Riffs saying, but I think that would only help once he gets his lower pulley. Talking about porting and whatnot. It's barely a little bit. I mean, again, don't hang your hat on that. Yeah, use porting of the supercharger as a supporting mod, like the Australian blower spacers or idler pulleys or what have you. It is a supporting mod. It is not a primary mod. It is a definite secondary mod. And don't really expect much out of it. Let's see. ET Racing Shaun had nothing but nice things to say about you, Brian. Can't wait to meet you someday. Hey, glad to hear that. Thank you, ET Racing. I appreciate that. Look forward to meeting you as well. Rich saying, yo, Doc Diff, would you say that putting a one-piece drive shaft and differential brace means it is no longer stock? That to me is, I would say a drive shaft is a safety modification more than anything else. Would I say that it's still stock? I don't know. That's like asking if you put a roll cage in a car, does that make it stock? It doesn't really help performance, but it does aid from a safety standpoint. So at least there's that to consider. That's how I would see it. Let's see. Doc Diff saying, my buddy Jeff broke his diff that night at the track. He was saying that even it shut down for a bit because of the fog. Yeah, it was bad, man. The fog was nasty. Rich saying, it's like that old question, if you put drag rails on your cars, it's still stock. Tires are a consumable item. My thing is, as long as they're roughly the same size, I guess, I don't even know if that even matters. I mean, a tire is a consumable product for me, number one. And number two, you're at a drag strip with a high horsepower car and you're going max effort. To me, a tire is a safety thing more than it is a performance thing. It allows me to use the power that the car makes all the way down the drag strip at high velocities. And without compromise. The stock tires have by their nature of being stock, have to be compromises to be able to handle wet weather, dry weather, cold weather, warm weather, what have you. The race tires don't, or at least the ET Street R's, which are still a street radial tire, by the way. They don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. They're there to be compatible with a drag strip, with a high horsepower car, or on the street with a high horsepower car to keep traction as a premium, as opposed to wear as a premium with some street tires. Different approach to value. In this case, I'm valuing traction more than I am longevity. Let's see. Paul's asking, did you pull out the rear airbags and the rear seat delete cars have them from the factory? The rear airbags? They don't have airbags, bro. And the Red Eyes have a rear seat delete as an option from the factory, yes, as well as a 309 gear. Dr. Diff, this is an interesting problem. I can spin my rear wheels in reverse, but not going forward on pavement. Well, it's because it's in reverse. And Doc, I'll let you manage that one. Destroyer, I just put a stock nitrous outlet system on my car. I like it. Whoa, earthquake. Dr. Diff, do the blower spacers work? No. If so, do you know why? They don't. Maybe longer for the fuel to atomite? No. Drive shaft is still modified, although it's more of a safety as B7. There's a little difference, but modded. No, the blower spacers, they're like a Phalonic spacer for an old 5-liter. They're just separating two pieces of metal so that you don't get heat transfer through the system, so to speak. They don't really work. You'll notice them maybe on cool down. The blower will be a little bit cooler, but I mean, a little bit in this case doesn't get you to the promised land. Just saying. Riffs saying, tires are a consumer product, but at the same time, the demon said it can do a certain time with a stock tire, but nobody can do it without drag radials. Well, they're still drag radials. And technically speaking, the tires that they're running are drag radials, but I see your point, and that is one way of looking at things, and that's the way a lot of folks have looked at it, by the way. Mr. 76 Aspen checking in with that rear diff rear end. Yep, it is an AB part number. Paul saying, thank you, 76. Ribs asking, what is your opinion on adding an after chiller to an early Hellcat? God. Okay, so I don't have one on my car. I'm not really making enough power to need one. There's a lot of guys that swear by the killer chillers. I love me some killer chiller. They work. They help for consistency's sake. You know, especially if you're pulleyed or more than that, double pulleyed, they work well. But you know, for my car, I prefer not to have one on it. I'll just, you know, I'll throw the taser on the car, cool the thing down as best I can, and we'll go from there. Let's see. Sam's talking to Dr. Diff about his truck right now. So, well, cool, guys. Fun conversation this evening. I am going to go ahead. We're coming up on an hour and a half. I am going to cut it and chalk it because I'm going to wake up early as hell in the morning. Thank y'all very much for hanging out with me. I appreciate the discussion. And I will look forward to seeing y'all on the next one. So, y'all get out there and have some fun. Try not to do anything stupid. That is my job. That is a wrap on this one. Take it easy. Adios.